On the one hand, of course, the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry will start in just a few moments. We've just spoken about suspended Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu's devices now being in the hands of law enforcement. But our senior reporter, Samkele Maseko, is keeping up with the very latest surrounding Malusi Gigaba handing himself over to authorities in relation to a state capture-related case around what had been taking place at Transnet. In fact, this is when Malusi Gigaba was still the Public Enterprises Minister. And Samkele, I'm hoping you're able to hear us. You're also in the country's capital, perhaps not too far from where we are, and we're really getting a sense of what EFF leader Julius Malema, for example, was alluding to when he spoke in Parliament yesterday about some imminent arrest of a former minister.
Indeed, and we are at the citadel of power, where this absolute power has allegedly corrupted those whom were at the top echelons of government, top echelons of the administration of some of these state-owned enterprises, particularly looking at state-owned enterprises. You look at the allegations of corruption, particularly at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, corruption against the top brass of the African Police Service, that war between Fanima Samula, the National Commissioner, against his Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibia, who is allegedly in the cahoots with criminals. Then you come to allegations of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry that was then chaired by the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, Chief Justice Raymond Zondo at that particular point in time. We do have Malusi Gigaba at the IDEC offices now with his legal team, with the investigators of IDEC, the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption, looking into allegations of corruption in the procurement of the locomotives that took place during his tenure as the Minister of Public Enterprises within the country. It is an issue that has been extensively ventilated within the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. His links to the notorious, alleged, corrupt Gupta brothers in the capture of state-owned enterprises to build up the wealth of the Gupta brothers, using the coffers of the state and stealing from the poor within the public. But yesterday, EFF leader Julius Malema did question Advocate Johnson, the head of IDEC, yesterday of any imminent arrest that she may be aware of. Let's just listen to that exchange between Julius Malema and Advocate Johnson.
Advocate, is there any arrest of high-profile politicians and the cases that you said there's overwhelming evidence that is going to happen anytime soon by IDEC? Will we be seeing any arrest of high-profile people, especially those involved in PPEs and Bosasa and those kind of things anytime soon?
So, Honorable Malema, the PPE matters are all being dealt with by the DPCI and the Specialized Commercial Crime Unit. In terms of matters that we have in our space that arise from the commissions, yes, where there is evidence, there is going to be arrests, and there are some arrests that are in the pipeline.
Any former minister who might be arrested tomorrow or this week?
I cannot comment.
There's one coming. Now, if you had violated a law when you sat in the panel that employed your husband, is it not within any reasonable South Africans to go and open a case if a law is violated and not come and want to grandstand and create an impression that they've got some big scoop which is non-existent?
You put it correctly and rather eloquently.
Secondly, as lawmakers and as citizens and as law enforcement, will it not help our institutions if we don't become fanatics and that those we like are allowed to be above the law and those we don't like, they can be subjected to any form of harassment because we don't like them? You have a duty to protect the Constitution. You have a duty to protect the law. It doesn't matter whether a person is a high profile. It doesn't matter whether a person occupies strategic position in crime intelligence or NPA or anything of that sort. The principle of no one is above the law applies to all of us, including our favorites. Am I correct?
That was EFF leader Julius Silo Malema in that exchange between himself and the advocate Johnson, particularly looking into these allegations of state capture, allegations of wrongdoing within the police, allegations that the police are cherry picking those who are powerful and those who are low-hanging fruits within the political machinations, and only arresting those that they don't like, and those that they like because they are powerful, they leave them and not prosecute them and investigate them and parade them to the public, particularly if you look at how he raised issues pertaining to African Global Operations, formerly trading as Busasa, with those security upgrades that were done by the likes of Papali Shabani, who was a close associate of Gwede Mantashe at that particular time, and those security upgrades, cameras that were installed in Gwede Mantashe's farm, allegedly in Ala, and also allegedly at his home in Boksburg, and also the security upgrades to the likes of Thabang Makwetla, the former Deputy Minister of Military Veterans and Association within the country, and also going to those particular chickens that were given to ANC Deputy Secretary General now, who was a former Premier of Gauteng, ultimately a former Minister of Water and Sanitation, former Minister of Communications, that would be Nomvula Mukonyane Mxolisi. And it also ultimately now boils down to what Julius Malema asked, that are you aware of any imminent arrest that is going to take place within the next few days? Hence, Dr. Malusi Gigaba now arrested for the procurement of those locomotives at Transnet. And we are told that there may be further arrests in the next week or two pertaining to allegations of wrongdoing and financial irregularities that took place at Transnet Mxolisi.
And interestingly enough, Sam, this now raises questions around what is likely to happen now going forward, especially when we look at the dynamics at play right now. I know a bit earlier on when we had this chat, you spoke about, how some of your sources have informed you that, some of these charges against the former Minister of Public Enterprises, for instance, could be politically motivated. Just moving forward now, what does this now mean for the ANC trying to forge with that theme of renewal that everybody has been talking about?
It's definitely going to be difficult for the African National Congress, because there are some within the ANC who perceive this renewal to be having eyes of targeting certain individuals that may be against the current regime of the African National Congress led by President Ramaphosa. Malusi Gigaba is seen as one of those fierce critics of President Cyril Ramaphosa within the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. Some who support him perceive this as a persecution against him in order to eliminate him going towards the 2027 conference of the ANC. But those who may be having an open eye, they may be saying that, look, Malusi Gigaba did do a lot of wrong things, and if he had not done these unnecessary wrong things in his tenure as a minister, he may be waltzing in to the presidency of the African National Congress now. You may have previously not even had Cyril Ramaphosa as president of the African National Congress, because it would have been a contestation of that generation that Malusi Gigaba led within the ANC Youth League that may be taking up the top echelons of power within the ANC now. So it is going to fuel a lot of factions and factional battles and friction going towards the ANC's National General Council on the 8th of December, going to the 12th, and ultimately what transpires going towards the 2027 conference of the ANC. We've already had the likes of Bechane Chauke, who is a special envoy of President Ramaphosa on economic matters and to other African countries and to the Europe and to the Middle Eastern countries, speaking out and saying that President Ramaphosa is not going anywhere as president of the country and president of the ANC after the G20 summit, which speaks to the vacuum that has been created by President Ramaphosa of not having a political advisor, Mxolisi.
All right, Samkele Maseko is SABC News politics reporter monitoring those developments. They're working that story for us. Thanks so much for that update.